Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to Forevercraft. Today's video, it's going to be a little bit different. You see, we just updated to 121.9, which means we've got these cool guys, and we've also got copper golems. And we haven't updated the server for a long time, so we were just too excited not to update to the most recent version. That means I have no mods. What you see is what you get. We've got no free cam, we've got no replay mod, no flashback mod, no cinematics, just some Minecraft. I've got a really cool farm build I want to get done, and it seems silly not to make a video, so we're doing it old school. First things first, let's head over to the farm area and kind of get a lay of the land and maybe like a little bit of a material list going. I have a pretty good idea for the build. I've started laying some blocks down in creative, but I want to go take a look at the area in the world and make some final decisions, so let's head that way now. I haven't showed much of this area, but as you'll see, we've been doing quite a bit of work over here at the farm-themed area. I spent about a whole week, well, you know, all the free time I had for a week, just planting wheat seeds. I want to say this was like 10 to 12 shulker boxes full of wheat seeds, and potentially more than that. I mean, I was going back and forth to like a seed farm I'd crafted quite often to fill back up, so it's hard to say exactly how much, but it's a lot of wheat. I would show it off more in free cam or some cool cinematic with replay mod, but we don't have that. But look at it, isn't that pretty neat? It's amazing what just a whole bunch of wheat can do for an area in Minecraft. I mean, isn't this just the most beautiful thing you've ever seen? I think so. But without a farmhouse, it's just a big field. So we need a nice little statement build up here on the top of the hill to kind of start setting the theme of the area. I had gone back and forth on a few different designs, and I think I finally settled on one that I really enjoy. My initial thoughts were to make this kind of a traditional farmhouse, one that was kind of, you know, your stereotypical white building with a black roof, a little wraparound porch, you know, some like, I was going to do a lot of pale oak and other blocks like that. And the more I thought about it, the more I just thought, it's kind of boring, right? We're playing Minecraft. We've got the new update. The whole idea is that this is going to be the Happy Gas Ranch. So it's going to include a lot of the stuff from the Golem update as well as the Happy Gas. And I think that those deserve to be a little bit more Minecrafty and a little bit more fantasy. So we're actually going to go with a much different palette than what I originally thought. I think we're going to go with like kind of it's almost got a steampunk theme to it, but it's not going to have like gears and blimps and stuff like that. But it's going to be very colorful and very like mismatched, if that makes sense. I don't know if this will be the foundation or not. I'm just trying to give you an idea so far of like what the actual building layout and blocks are going to look like. But essentially it's going to be kind of a tiered building that looks like 3 or 4 separate pieces slammed together. So we'll have one section probably that's like acacia wood. So we'll have a nice bright pop of orange. We're going to have, I think I'm either going to do a warped log section, or we'll make one of the roofs have warped wood in it. And then we'll probably also do an area that is more stone and foundation based still. Apologies for the misplace and stuff. Again, we can't make this fancy with editing. I think if we just can mix together all these different blocks, it's going to give this like a really cool, vibrant appeal. And then I also want to mix in copper here and there, just small elements of it. Again, we're not going full blown steampunk, so we don't need gears and cogs and shiny metal stuff everywhere. But I think that orange mixed with the acacia orange, we can do some kind of cool stuff with that. We're going to do a lot of details with fences and walls and boards and stuff, but the idea is to kind of mix and match some of these bright colors. So even looking at this, I think we won't do that much stone. It's just kind of boring to do that much stone. I think we'll do maybe like a lighter wood. So I've got birch wood here, which I was considering. So maybe we'll do birch wood for one of the sections. So we'll have like a warp section, an acacia section, and a birch section, and some combination of those woods and metals and foundations, and kind of have a steampunk fantasy farm build is what I'm thinking here. So I'm going to go over to the creative test world, put some more blocks down, fiddle with some stuff, and then I'm going to get a material list and see how much of this stuff we actually need to go collect, because we have pretty much no warped wood and we have almost no acacia. This was literally the only like 8 blocks of acacia wood I had, so we got to go farm up some materials for sure. I got to go design it first and find out how much of each of those blocks I actually have to farm so that we can get the design, get the right amount of materials, and get this thing built. The design process is going to be quick for you. Hopefully it doesn't take me too long. And then we're going to go get some materials. Alright, we got pretty lucky. This build is actually a lot of very simple materials, but I do need to get some acacia wood, a little bit more deep slate, and some warped wood. I have pretty much no warped wood, and we used a lot of warp stairs for the roofs. So let's go get those together, and then we'll head back to the farm. Well, here's the base shape. It ended up being a little bit of a smaller build than I was expecting. I mean, it's relatively tall, but we're not going to have an excessive amount of interior to work with. But the reality is that this build is almost purely aesthetic. It's just supposed to be a cool house to overlook the fields. And I think it very much accomplishes that goal. So here's the general shape. We've got all the blocks we need right here. The only thing left to do is to put some blocks down. Let's get to work. I'm just now starting to realize that all of the color in this build is towards the upper layers. And in the details of like the window frames, that's where like a lot of the stuff's coming in. This is a very spruce and stone build, but I promise it's going to be colorful and very cool. Just bear with me. In fact, I think we're going to do a little bit of a time cut in 3, 2, 1. Whoa, that was fast. Well, here's the general shape. We still have a lot more detail to put in. We got to get these windows in. The back side of it is very flat right now. I've got ideas for walls and stuff. Don't worry, this is all going to come together. But I thought we would do a little brief check-in just to kind of give you an idea of how things are shaping up. So this is the general shape, but I promise when we add all the details, and there's like one more element up here I haven't built yet. The inside, again, it's not huge, but we'll be able to put a bed in here, a furnace, and chests. You know, I don't know. This will be our cool little stop-in spot. I like to have houses like this that kind of all I do is sleep in them. Like when I come visit this wheat field, I got a nice little place to sleep. All right, back to work. Let's get all the trimmings and traps and details on there and see what this thing looks like. And here it is, the Happy Ghast Farmhouse, TM. I don't have a good name for it yet, but here it is. Not really a build style that I typically build a lot with, but it's fun to use color once in a while. Color is definitely something that I've been afraid of in Minecraft for a long time, but it is a little bit hodgepodge. I think we need to go back through now and texture for sure, like mix in some stone and some andesite ingredients, put in some stripped logs here. There's areas that can be touched up and detailed further, but as a shell, and as I start to a build, I think this thing's pretty cool. I need to do a little bit more detailing around it as well. We put a cool little like horse stable out back. It is a ranch after all. I'm sure his personal horse is gonna have to sleep somewhere. Seems like a good enough spot. We need to do some bone mealing. I definitely want to build some custom trees around this thing to kind of make it pop up here in the environment. But as the first build here on the beautiful Happy Ghast Ranch, I'm pretty happy with it. It sits up nicely just there at the top of the path. We get some nice big cool trees to either side of it to really frame it in, and I think this is gonna be a really cool area. I think the next thing we're going to build in this area is going to be a actual barn down here, which is going to be where our Happy Ghasts actually live. Maybe a stable with like 2 or 3 of them. They're pretty big. I don't know if you saw it back at the main base there, but I mean, it's a ghast, right? So they're pretty big. So we won't have a lot of them here, but maybe a stable with 2 or 3 and a couple that kind of float around. I think a Happy Ghast just kind of hovering above the field is a pretty cool aesthetic. And I'm excited to just hang out and be in this area. I'm thinking now that we have the copper golem update as well, we'll build the barn for the gas, and then I want to build some kind of like copper golem workshop or something over here. That's my idea. Some kind of like tinkering workshop that the copper golems are all like running up and down stairs and moving around. They bring a lot of animation to an area, so I think they could really make a build like really fun. But that's for the future, and that is all that I have time for in today's episode. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. Thanks for sticking around. Have a good one.